Hi everyone, let's do a black and white spread in my black and white gratitude art journals. Now, oh my gosh, might be one of my favorite combinations, black and whites. And I love using all of my black and white collage papers, my paint, my washi tape. So let me just flip through my black and white journal for a little while and you see some of my abstract pieces, lines, anything that comes to mind. Using up my stash, using up my washi tape. I tape some of the edges off with painter's tape. The washi tape will stay there. This is another combination, black, whites, and neutrals. And the book is not finished, but I'm going through it. So I've decided to choose a page. And this page I actually started a while ago, about a year or more. And I just left it. I just put a couple of pieces of paper down. And I taped it off and that was it. Sometimes that's all I put and I go to the next page. So don't feel that you need to start from the beginning to the end in any page. Like literally I started, maybe I had to stop or I'm like, oh, not feeling those, and went to another page. And so that's why when I come into the pages now, I just choose one from before and I take it in a whole different level. So here I'm using some black paint. This is some watered down black acrylic paint. I just added some water in there. It's at the end of the bottle, so I just added water to stretch it, not wasting any paint. And I'm just gonna cover the page. Now remember, I have my painter's tape all around the edge, so I do intend at the end to peel it off and reveal a nice clean border. So I'm just going in with my brush, going in with a little more paint. As you can see, the paint is very translucent because it's a wash. It has water in it. And so you can actually see through. So you're seeing through the tape, through the collage paper. Those little black and white diamonds, they look like washi tape, but they're not. They are actually from scrapbook paper. So look how nice and light that other side came out. So I'm putting some more paint, some paint splashed on the outside. So I'm not wasting it, using it. And just, as you can see, I'm just slapping that paint down randomly. I'm not trying to put it down in any proper formation. I also want to be able to see that lovely collage, black and white collage paper that I put in there. So I'm pulling it back. And that was just a piece of tissue paper that I used. Not tissue paper, paper towel, paper roll. And I just pulled it back with that. Okay, so the page is dry and I'm going in again. I'm washing out my paintbrush and I have some white there. And I've decided I know what I'm going to do at this point. Of course, I don't know beyond that, but you start somewhere because once you start, then you can then relate. So look at what I'm doing. Quite bold, right? Well, my intention is right here to put down my stencil and do negative stencils, which I love. That's a lot. Those are really, they give you a really beautiful effect. And I love using stencils in all ways. But this one really is magical in what it does. Now, look at this. I am using my paper towel here. Usually what I use is a wet wipe. I can't find my wet wipes on my table at all. So I just I'm using a dry piece of paper towel. It's a little dry, so I wet it a bit. But I like what's happening there because the wet wipe, and look at this. I went into the other room and found my wet wipe. So now I'm going to do the technique again and I'm going to use the proper wet wipe with it and it will remove it a little cleaner. But guess what? When you look at the first one that I did, I like what the dry paper towel gave me, right? So now we're going to put back on my stencil and I am going to use the wet wipe and let's see how it gives a different feel. So it's pulling a little more. It's quite wet and it feels like it's just kind of gray there are parts that not even pulling. It's interesting. It did this weird thing where it's pulling, but then because of how wet the wet wipe was, you can't make this stuff up. It does its own thing and you go with it. So because it was a little wet, it was very sappy, it went back underneath the stencil. So are you seeing how the stencil is looking white? Then it's like reversed in one stencil. I love that because that is something you can't plan to get. And I really enjoy when these things happen. Happy mistakes, things that, are random and work so well, that are so yummy, and you just can't explain it. Those are the magical things in painting and in mixed media and any form of artwork that just takes it to the next level. Because it's not overthought, no overthinking is going on. This is not what I expected. And look at that, right? With the white, the way the white is showing like that. So what is happening? You see what happened there? That because that black was because the black was so thin, when I went in with the wet wipe, it just took off. It took off the black. So it was supposed to take off the white and show the black. And it went straight through and took off the black. And then we're seeing the white of the paper underneath. I love it. So I go with it. The wet wipe was so wet that the stencil was wet underneath. So when I put it on other parts, you just see like this light little outline. And I love that again. And I'm leaving it. Okay, at this point, I want to incorporate some paper collage. So I have my black and white and some neutrals over on the left side in a little container, have it all there together, and I'm just making decisions. As you can see, should I put this here, should I put that there? And then I decide, no, I don't want to. I'm just gonna go with the black and whites and grays, and that polka dot strip is standing out to me because it makes a great contrast. Now in this exercise, because we're using black, white, and gray tones, we can really start feeling composition. We can really start feeling shape and form because we don't have all the colors, right? Where we have to think about many things when we're doing with multiple colors. So in the grayscale, what we're doing now is that we're really focusing on contrast of value, as well as contrast of shape, size. So look at those polka dots. They're large compared to some of the openings and the diamonds in the stencils. Also, do you notice what I did there? As I put down that collage paper, it was very white, very stark, and I took my same wet wipe that's now kind of gray because it has paint on it, and I went over it. And what did that do? It integrated it immediately into the piece. So you want to make sure that your piece, every time you put down a collage piece or washi tape or anything, that it's not just feeling foreign to the whole thing. We did all that background already. We grunged it up. We had our negative stencil, and now we're incorporating collage. And some of the collage paper is really stark, black and white, and that makes good contrast, but also you want it to start blending nicely into the piece. You don't want anything to start feeling like it's foreign. It doesn't belong in that part of that composition. So it now wants to feel like it's all coming together. So we're playing with composition, we're playing with balance, and we're definitely playing with contrast, and especially contrast of value. Value being dark and light. So at this point, I'm just going with the flow. I don't want to overthink. And when you're doing something like that, just go with how you feel with something. And you could always take it off. You can always add something on top, right? Do you see how I integrated it there? And not too much, just a little bit pulls it right into the piece. It's like, oh yes, it belongs in here now. So now we're gonna go with some other pieces, contrasting shape. We have that nice bold polka dot, and I'm choosing another polka dot, almost like, another circle, smaller black polka dot with the white around it, contrasting with the big one. We have the contrasting black and white stripes that were cut. And I'm playing around, seeing how things, because it's getting busy, but we're pushing things back, pulling them forward. And I know in my mind, I'm just having fun with this, because guess what? After this all dries, I'm going to embellish. I love that. Embellish with my pens, my black pens, my paint pens, white paint pens, so black and white, maybe some pencil and some charcoal, and start pulling things out. Start highlighting areas that I want the viewer's eye to look at. So at this point, it was still foundation. We're still building the base. We had the base of the color with the stencil, the black and white with the stencil, and now we're adding collage. We're building that base. And I'm changing my mind. I'm making choices. I'm thinking about things. I'm placing things down without sticking it. Did you see how long that piece was there before I actually stuck it down? Like, okay, I'm going to make the decision. So you can think about it a while. But once you're overthinking and it's not happening, just put it down. Put it down. Because if it doesn't work later on, we can cover it up. We can peel it off. We can see what happens. And I'm really liking that. I'm liking what's happening. I feel that there's a lovely balance. See how everything's come together. I have the washi tape out there, but I didn't use any of it. Okay, so here's a close-up. This is our foundation. I am not finished at all. It is yummy, yummy, yummy. It is grungy. I love that. Some people might leave it like that. So now for the embellishment. So I have my pens and I'm just going to go in. Now, the way I do this, I'm not trying to overthink, but I am having fun. This is what I love to do. It's part of something I love to do. I love to put in details. I love to put an edge to certain things. So that's kind of illustrative, kind of meet my painterly side. And I've told this story before, like in art school, my painting professors really didn't love the idea that I love to go in with a pen or a line, and because then it's not as painterly. But now I love to incorporate the two. And so with this, I have a very painterly feel that's happening there, but I also want to be able to highlight certain areas so that we can push that contrast, we can push those values and have fun, because I just love this. Going in with my pen. Now, I want to show you when I do something like this, I am not overworking any one area. Did you notice I started on that one page, stop, go on the other page? I'm working throughout the piece consistently. Left, right side, top, the bottom. I'm not overworking any one area. So as soon as I start to think, okay, what to do next, and I'm not thinking, I go to the next side. So you see how my mind works. I did that and realized, oh, it looked better if I took that line across. Boom, boom, boom. I continued there. Then I think about it. Do you see how I'm stopping? I'm thinking, what other part is calling to me? I'm turning my journal over and over again. These exercises, for me, really strengthens my concept in composition and how I'm balancing the thing. This is a double spread. So to me, it's like it's a full painting. It's a full page. So I'm not even thinking right side, left side of the page. That's why I went with that line straight across. It's one page for me. And so I'm balancing the whole thing together. I'm turning it around. It's abstract. And so I'm turning it around. I'm seeing how it works upside down. I'm seeing how it works on the side. I just pulled in some darks at that edge because I know when I take that tape off, I'm going to get a nice clean dark edge, which I want right there. And then I knew I was going to do something fun with those big polka dots. they didn't want to just sit there on its own. So I did a little outer line and then my lines. I love lines. So you would see me embellish with lines a lot. I love dots, lines and dots, like pattern, repeated pattern. That's why stencils are my friend. Stencils will always be my friend because they give me beautiful patterns. And as you can see, a lot of people think stencils have to be done in this way that's so pristine and perfect. No, I use it and it gives me a pattern, and then I can draw over that pattern. I can paint over the pattern. I can obscure the repeated pattern. I can change it. At no one point can you know what that stencil was originally, because it has now become part of the piece. And that's how I love using stencils. Okay, it's reached the time where we're taking that tape off. All right, so that's painter's tape. It's been there for a while. So, you know, it's kind of like hard to peel off. Some parts are peeling off better than others. I'm trying to be careful so it doesn't peel off into the painted part. Some of the outer part, you know, it's taking off a little bit of the paper, but that's fine. It's our journals. But I'm still getting the effect I want with that stark white border, really popping the black and whites. Look at that. Okay, finally got it. Gluing down little parts that got pulled. Nice. And that part, like, you know, there I can end, but of course I'm turning it around. I'm looking at it upside down, the way I started it, all around. And I'm like, okay, let me just little parts that I want to just get into, highlight a little more. I'm not satisfied with it, so I love it, but there's more that it's calling me to just add a little more. And of course, you need to know how to stop as well. But I'm still having fun. So I'm going with it. Those diamonds, you notice some of the diamonds I filled in, some of the circles I filled in, some I don't, some I just outline. And it's all about repeated pattern. And it's balancing things. A vertical line at the top, repeated on the left-hand side. Here comes my dots. Here comes the dots. Oh, I love it. I love it. That popped the piece for me immediately. It popped the piece for me immediately. And that was it. I really didn't need to do anything else after that. I loved that. That really created a sort of anchor in there for me that went with the whole piece. But I'm just, my white paint pen, just taking everything. And that's it. How wonderful.